You know, there are unusual circumstances that sometimes occur in the market, and we want to see how does our system respond in those times. And keep in mind, when we created this approach, this system, we wanted it to work well into the future. Even if the circumstances may have never have happened before, we'd say to ourselves, well, what if you don't get a follow-through day? What if you enter a time period where the follow-through day is no longer relevant? It hasn't happened before, but what if it did? Would our system be obsolete, or would it continue to work? So we try to build in mechanisms that would continue to work even if you're in weird or strange market environments.
All right, so this is going to be on page 159. So what if the index falls 10% off the high since the follow-through, but the count is still positive? Now this has happened, it's rare, but we wanted to make sure that if you're falling dramatically, but for some reason our rules are just not working at all, that we had a fail-safe or a circuit breaker. So we discussed this ad nauseum, and we came up with these rules. We toyed with having this 8% or 12% or 15%, and we settled in on 10%. In reality, it might be better to be a measure of volatility of the market, but we wanted to keep it simple. So the circuit breaker rule, when it's triggered, the count is forced to 0 or 100% cash, and the buy switch turns off. So it's a fail-safe. If things aren't working, we cut everything. The power trend ends if it's on. Now, how does it happen? If the index falls 10% off the highs since the follow-through on an intraday basis, so that's from your rally. It's not from your old highs. So if you're thinking of, a big crash like in 1987, you come down and then you start rallying back up. It's that new rally. It's not your old high that you're dealing with. These are a little bit odd to follow, but they're and statements. And if it falls 5% or more below the 50-day, on an intraday basis, the circuit breaker is triggered immediately. So if you're just falling like it's a flash crest type of situation, and we still have exposure, and it's 10% off its highs, and it's 5% below your 50-day intraday, you're just going to go ahead and use the signal. I don't think it's ever happened before, but again, this is a what-if section. Or if the index closes below the 50-day moving average and in the lower half of the range, or more than 1% below the 50-day, then the circuit breaker rule triggers at the close. So the point of this one is saying that, if you're coming down, you're 10% off your highs, and you're just right around that 50-day, you don't want to trigger this throwing out everything unless you really are below that 50-day. So if you're more than 1% below, or, if you're close to it, you're going to go ahead and wait until the close. So again, the index falls 10% off its high since the follow-through on an intraday basis, and these things happen. So let's go through this. This is on page 160. We're out of the market over here. Our buy switch turns on, and we've had this rally. Now here's our highest point in this rally, because this is where this rally started. So now when we're 10% off of this, if we had market exposure, this rule comes into play, because we're underneath your 50-day moving average and you're 10% off your highs, so you're going to go ahead and use the circuit breaker. Now we get back in, buy switch is on, and this rule again would apply if you're still in. The market school rules got you out here on the top day, but this is a what if section. What if they didn't and you still had exposure over here? We wanted to have a line in the sand at some point. Right there, it undercuts the low, which turns off the buy switch, but it also happens to be 10% off the highs. Then our buy switch goes back on, and then this is the start of a rally. Let's look at another example. This is on page 161. It's grayed out because we wouldn't have needed it, but there you're 10% off your highs and you're underneath the 50-day, and that was our high from that rally there. Buy switch goes back on. We're out of the market there with an S1, but 10% off your highs would have been right there. So there's our S2, which was our other line in the sand. But this is 10% off of that peak. Very important that you're not measuring it off of the wrong peak. So once you start trading, you get a B1, you're just measuring that rally. So it just only goes up one day. That's your high, 10% off your circuit breakers right there. Does this make sense so far? Okay. Happens again here. That was our follow-through day. This becomes our high. We're out of the market on this day with our normal rules, but the 10% circuit breaker would have triggered here. So that allows you to kind of trade with some confidence. There's a line in the sand. We both talked about long-term capital. It was a firm that blew up years ago. A lot of really smart people, and they just didn't think of things in a certain way. So we wanted to have a real fail-safe in case something happened that we talked about, oh, that'll never happen, but we wanted to write this rule in case it did happen. So there's your buy switch turning back on, and then this was the start of a really powerful rally. Here's another example on page 162. So we're out of the market. We have full distribution over here. Market exposure goes to 0 right there. But if we would have been in the market, that was 10% off your highs, so you would have been selling there. Again, the buy switch goes on. There's our market exposures going to 0 here. And the 10% circuit breaker would have triggered the next day if you would have needed it. On this rally, that becomes your high. And we get out of the market on this day, but your S2 would have been your line in the sand here. Because remember, an S2 is an intraday situation, so that would force you out as it breaks it intraday. And then there is our buy switch turning back on. Right, any questions on that before we move on? Yes, sir.
8% versus 10%?
We decided on 10% to give it a little bit more leeway. And you can make a fair argument, and we both did. You know, we were toying around with a bunch of different thresholds, but the rules have been used with 10%. And there's nothing wrong with 8% other than it's a little bit tighter, and this is a very dramatic thing that you're doing. I mean, you are throwing everything out. You're turning off the buy switch. It's a major, major change. And so we debated, and we felt 10% was enough. 10 seemed to be in line with, again, the way we were looking at this was thinking, you know, what would Bill do? And that's where the numbers came from, either optimization and looking over it every year that the NASDAQ was around, or thinking, okay, well, what would Bill do? And so we decided on 10, but it could have been 9 or 11.
The thing is, we're trying to strike a balance. If you'd said 8%, it's going to kick off more often. And this isn't something we want to rely on. We only want to rely on this as a circuit breaker in case nothing else is working. It's really, if you think of a scenario where, let's just say you're fully invested and Russia attacks France. And it just happens. Maybe someone accidentally pushed a button. And the next day, the market's down 20%. Right away, boom, we're going to cash. Now, let's just say that might be the bottom, but what if then France attacks Russia? Next day, this market goes down another 20%. It hasn't happened. But what if the market were to completely collapse, and because you are fully invested, maybe the power trend was on, and you were really pushing it. It might have taken you a few days to say, hey, you know, I should back away. Whereas this would say, you know what, worst case, you're going to take a massive hit, but you're not going to be financially ruined. So really, it's a fail-safe circuit breaker. We don't ever really want to rely on it. Normally, our rules are going to get you out well ahead of time, but what if? So even, you know, this, again, we're trying to build something here that can respond to conditions that maybe have never occurred before, but if you can think of it, they probably will occur at some point.
Yeah, and to that point that he's saying, you know, we've been on stage with Bill enough times that he gets the question about 9/11, and we were out of the market, and the system had you out of the market, and he said, well, there you go. And it's like, I don't think that everyone knew that 9/11 was going to happen, but we got lucky with it happening when we were already in a downtrend, and so the firm was in cash. And in 1987, we weren't trading for the firm, but Bill was in cash by just studying the market. Sometimes you can see a crash coming because the market's telling you. Another time, something just comes out of the blue, and we just all got lucky because we were all sitting in cash. So we wanted to think of, if there's ever something as bad as that or something similar, the market's going to come down, and we want to have a rule in there and not want to leave all you guys sitting there being 100% invested because you're following the system. We're sitting there in cash. We just didn't think that was proper. So.
Yeah, you'd be forced to cash, and the buy switch would be off. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is excellent segue to the next what if. What if you don't get a follow-through day? Okay, what if you enter a time period where you're out of the market, you're waiting for the market to turn, you're waiting to get back in. So what if you enter a period where the follow-through just doesn't happen, and yet the market's rallying? It looks good. Are we going to completely ignore that and not get in simply because there's no follow-through day? Now, it hasn't really happened. Every major bull market going back into history, you've had a follow-through day pretty much in the early portion. And even if it's a little bit later, eventually you get a follow-through day. But what if you didn't? So here's what we're going to do in that case. If you close above the prior high of the last confirmed rally, the buy switch will turn on. Okay, so that's the first way. If you go above the high of the last rally, it's going to turn on. Now, what if you crash? The market crashes, you're down 50% in 3 weeks. Okay? It's going to take a long time to get back up. The market would have to double for that to happen. So the rule I just told you, the going to new high ground, isn't going to help you out in that case. So the other way we're going to turn the buy switch on is if the power trend occurs. If you have a power trend where all the conditions exist for a power trend, if the buy switch is off, it's going to turn it on. Okay, because by definition, a power trend means your market's in a good condition. You're above the 21-day, you're trending above the 21-day, 21's above the 50-day, and so forth. So the power trend is going to turn the buy switch on as well. So again, these are the fail-safe mechanisms that are going to get you back into the market in the rare event you don't get a follow-through. So here is what we're going to do if that occurs. Now, the power trend going on and the going to the higher high, we are going to apply on that day all of the buy signals that occurred up to that point, just like we do with the follow-through day. If you break above a 21-day, right, before a follow-through day, you put it in your back pocket and then you wait for the follow-through day and then you get to act on it. Same thing here. We are going to act on all the buy signals in effect from the low, except for the corrective ones, the downside reversal buyback and distribution day fall-off. It is not going to reset distribution. Okay, distribution is reset when you have a follow-through day. Okay, so we're not going to reset the distribution. And the restraint rule will apply. So if your buy switch goes on, and let's just pretend you've got 4 buy signals up to that point, you're going to be at a +4, but you're going to be held to +2, or 55% invested, until you move up another %, which is a follow-through day requirement. So if that occurs, if the buy switch turns on in that way, and we're going to go over some examples, so bear with me. If the buy switch turns on because you had a higher high, it's going to turn back off if you go below that high point. Okay? So it's going to turn on when you go above the highest point of the last rally. If you go back below it, it's going to turn it back off. It's not necessarily a sell signal. It might be a sell signal. It might be a break below the last marked high, but it's not necessarily a sell signal. But the buy switch will turn off. You won't be able to act on buy signals if that occurs. And by the way, that happens a lot when this occurs. Again, it's a fail-safe. It hasn't really worked historically very well. In fact, I have the stats here. It's 5 times in the last 42 years you've had to rely on getting in with a higher high. And most of the time, the rally either fails or it works for a little bit and then rolls over. So it hasn't been that effective, but you might need it one day. So we put it in there. So you've got a power trend. It turns on the buy switch. When the buy switch will turn back off, when the power trend ends, and then you've got full distribution and a market exposure of 0. Remember, the power trend turning off doesn't necessarily turn off the buy switch. We showed you when we were doing the 1980s, the power trend turned off, but we still had exposure in the market, and that kept us in. It kept the buy switch on. So let's do some examples. I think it'll be a little clearer. This is on page 163, and this is in 1999. And the buy switch would have gone in somewhere around here. And the market's making progress, and it begins to roll over. At this point here, we have full distribution, and the count is 0. Just trust us. We're not showing you all the signals, but that's what's going on here. The buy switch is going to turn off. So we're looking for a follow-through day on this day. Now what happens is the market rebounds off the 50-day. It closes at a new high from the previous rally. So here's your high from the previous rally. That's going to turn on the buy switch. And you're going to get to act on any buy signals in effect at that time. So you had a B3 here. You're above the 21-day. You moved above the last marked high. That's going to be another buy signal. So you're going to have at least 2 buy signals here. And you can act on them. Now the next day, the buy switch turns off. Okay? Because you broke back below that point here. So the buy switch turns off. It's not necessarily a sell signal. In this case, you close back below your last marked high, so it is going to be a sell signal. So you went from a +2 to what would be a +1, and it failed. So it didn't work. It was a false indicator, but we didn't know that at the time. Now, let's do another example here. This is on page 164. You're in a choppy market here. There's a follow-through day somewhere in here. But on this day here, we have a market exposure of 0. On this day, we have full distribution, and so the buy switch turns off. So we're waiting for a follow-through day. Now the market goes into new high ground from the last confirmed rally. So here's your last rally where you had a follow-through day. When you close above that point, the buy switch is going to turn on. The next day it turns back off, and then the next day you actually do get a follow-through day. Buy switch turns back on with your B1. Now, it didn't really help you, but again, it's a what if. It could help you potentially in the future. It has not been a very helpful buy signal historically, but again, we're trying to build something that we might need one day. Let's go to page 165. So, on the left part of the chart here, the power trend is on. On this day, you've got full distribution. On this day, you have an S9. So your floor is removed on the power trend. Your power trend is under pressure with a floor of 0. And on this day, your power trend turns off. So when the power trend ends, it's no longer forcing the buy switch on. So the buy switch, even though you're out of the market here, your buy switch turns off on this day. So now we're waiting for a follow-through day to get back into the market. So we go forward. And the market's looking okay here. It's moving up, comes back in, and we don't get a follow-through day during this whole time frame, all these weeks, no follow-through day. And we finally close above the last high of the previous rally, the last confirmed uptrend. When we go above that high point, the buy switch turns on. Is that going above a higher high, a B8 over here? No, because your last marked high was here. So this is an example where it's not a B8. But your buy switch goes on that day. It turns off again the very next day. Buy switch went on this day because you went above the high. You closed below it, the buy switch turned back off. Now note, you can act on all the buy signals up to that point. You're above the 21-day moving average. You're trending above the 21-day moving average. Almost living above the 21-day.
You have the B8 too, right?
You would have had a B8 here based on this high. But don't forget, restraint is in effect. The restraint rule is keeping you. When the buy switch goes back off on this day, it's not forcing you to sell. It's just not allowing you to buy anymore. So you still have exposure in the market. Now, when you go above the next high, basically this day here kind of resets your high in a sense. So when you close back above that level, it's going to turn the buy switch back on again. Remember, we haven't had a follow-through day. On this day here, the power trend went on the day after you had that pink day. That is going to turn on the buy switch. So you didn't even have to wait to go to another high. The buy switch went on there, and then finally you got a follow-through day here. So in this case, getting in early helped you a lot. It got you in 2.5 weeks earlier than the follow-through day. And that's basically what the rule's designed for. Let's pretend you never got a follow-through day during this entire time frame. You'd be stuck. So that is what these rules do. Yeah? The question was with regard to this kind of area of resistance. And this almost looks like basically a downside reversal type action. And what happened? It didn't go any lower. It held the next day. So it is a sign of strength, the fact that you actually didn't fall anymore and you're holding in there, consolidating. And yeah, the market held in there and it really stepped higher from that point. In this example here, bear market, we're below the 50-day, we're below the 200-day. We're out of the market waiting for a follow-through day. Now, we get no follow-through day, all the way up. So, trust me, if Bill was in the situation, we'd be finding stocks to buy, and he'd be saying, why aren't you investing? I said, well, we haven't had a follow-through day. So, the power trend is going to turn on the buy switch for us. And again, we can act on all the buy signals in effect at that time. We're above the 21-day, we're trending, or probably even living above the 21-day. Well, we are by definition, because living above the 21-day is one of the aspects of a power trend. So we probably are going to be, we're over the 50-day, we're going to be 90%, close to 90 to 100% allowed to be invested around this point, except we've got the restraint. So the restraint would be lifted probably the next day or two. We'd be fully in. Now, if we didn't get a power trend, closing above the last high from the previous rally would get us in, but the power trend got us in earlier. The buy switch turned on earlier. And look where you got your follow-through day. You finally got a follow-through day over here. So in this case, we got in 1, 2, 3, almost 4 weeks before we actually got a follow-through day. So that shows that the follow-through day is a great tool, but it's fallible. So in case we don't get a follow-through day near the beginning of a rally, we're going to rely on either going above the last high or the power trend to turn on the buy switch. Question?
No.
No, I mean, the question was all these consecutive up days, and no, a follow-through day is a very precise definition, right? 1% on higher volume than the previous day in the current volatility period. None of these days qualified in this time period as a follow-through day. Some of them look like them, but they didn't quite qualify. So this is our workaround for that. Again, it's not something you'll have to rely on very often. In fact, over the last 42 years, the power trend has turned the buy switch on 3 times. In one of those times, the rally failed, and in 2 of those times, which we showed you, it got you in early, before the follow-through. So it worked twice in getting you market exposure earlier than you would have.
Yeah, and also keep in mind that we're just looking at the NASDAQ, but like we said at the very beginning, you could have a follow-through day on the S&P, you could have a follow-through day even on the Dow or the New York Stock Exchange Index. So there are chances where we're building these rules, so just in case you didn't get it on those and you're only looking at the NASDAQ, but we're going to look at the S&P as well, and sometimes those don't have a follow-through for a long period. All right, so let's get into the next thing. This is just a little minor thing. This is on page 159. What if you get an S7, the trending below the 21-day, or an S8 right after you get a follow-through day? We're not going to act on those because it really wouldn't make sense, and when you see the chart, you'll understand. So after a B1 follow-through day has occurred, an S7 sell signal is only, an S7 or an S8 is only acted on after B3 has occurred. So let's look at an example. You've got a B3 here, B4. Now we have an S5. So now you're looking for an S7 as well as an S8. So you're underneath here 5 days in a row, where your high is underneath your 21-day. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's an S7. It's grayed out. We didn't need it.
We're talking about having buy signals before the buy switch was turned on.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't act on those
Correct.
We're buying until the buy switch turns.
That's correct.
Correct.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't totally.
Correct. Did everyone get that? We're having buy signals, but the buy switch is off. When the buy switch is off, we don't act on them. We just save them for when we either get a follow-through day or these two alternate ways of turning on the buy switch. You want to be kind of true to the system. And normally, Bill says you need a follow-through day. You're not in a confirmed uptrend until you get a follow-through day. So we're going to wait until we either get that follow-through day to act on buy signals or the power trend or the higher high.
One quick follow-up is, so let's just take the exact example that we have to back the slide. It was like two buy signals. And then you had the little thing into play, and then at that point, that would be like a third signal, and then you go into like a B3 kind of day or a plus 3 day.
You would still have the restraint on. Whenever we turn the buy signal on, we're always going to have the restraint of a +2. So you could have 5 signals go on, but you're only going to act on 2. You hold on to those. Now, with the power trend and the higher high, since most likely you're already trending with the higher high, and you're certainly trending with the power trend just by definition, or you're living above the 21-day, we've decided that we have to see power in the market. So you have to go up from the close of that day that it turns on, up 1% in our current volatility. Whereas with the normal follow-through, we said we could lift restraint by 1% or trending above the 21-day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we have an S7. Then we're out of the market. We're looking for a follow-through day, and we get one right there. But look, right after that, we get an S8, because an S8 happens on the 10th, 15th, 20th day, and so on. Your high is underneath the 21-day. So it's a sell signal that was devised to get you out of the market if nothing else was getting you out of the market, or one of the things that we have to get you out. But we're playing offense right now, whereas this is a defensive sell signal. So it just did not make sense to us to be selling right there because of something that happened over here. So we're saying that once you have a follow-through day, you're not going to listen to a S7 or an S8 until you get another B3, meaning you're back above the 21-day. So that happens right here. Now you start listening to the S7s and S8s again, and that happens right here. So we get an S5 that you need before you can have an S7 or an S8. So we're underneath our 21-day. Now we've had 5 days where we're underneath there, so we get an S7, and then 10 days, so we have an S8, because we've already had this B3. Again, the concept is when you have a follow-through day, you're looking for signs of strength in relationship to the trending and living above or below the 21-day, but it just doesn't make sense to use an S8 or an S7 until you're back above that 21-day. So it hardly ever happens, but someone pointed it out to us at one point, and we just wanted to make a ruling on it. So it's very, very rare, but we wouldn't want to be kicked out of the market right there.
Okay, what if you're making progress in your account early on in a rally? So you get a follow-through day, maybe you get a move above the 21-day, you bought a few stocks, things are going okay, and then you break below the 21-day again, fall below your follow-through day, you're back to a 0. The buy switch is on, but you're at a 0 count, but your stocks are doing okay. And this is one of the questions that we got that finally we get to address. If you are making progress in your account, okay, you're up on the stocks, your account is up from the beginning of this rally in question, we're going to say it's okay to stay up to 30% invested. Even though your account's at 0, we're not going to say, you know what, you have to sell all your stocks because we're at 0. If you're making progress, maybe you've got a great stock that's doing okay. Maybe the market is still in kind of that choppy mode where it can go either way. If you bought at the proper point and you're making some money in it, it's okay to hold those positions. But we are going to insist that you're up on the position and that your account is up from that point. So if you're down on the position, there's no reason to be holding a losing position if you're at a 0 count. You're probably just arguing with the market or not really doing what needs to be done. Likewise, maybe you're up on your stock, but you were wrong on the other 2. And now you're down 2 or 3% from when that rally started. You know what? Back away. Go back to 0. But if that's not the case, if you're up, if your account is up and your stocks are up, you can stay up to 30% invested and see what happens. Any questions on that? All right. On the opposite side, let's say that you have a portfolio of 5 or 6 stocks, and for one reason or another, one crashes down in an earnings release, another 2 fall because of some sector rotation, and the market's still doing fine. Your stocks are breaking badly, but you're at a +5. What do you do in that case? So you've had to sell your stocks, right? But now you're underexposed. Well, it's okay. Stay underexposed until you find another stock to buy at a proper buy point. Don't force yourself to match the market school exposure guidelines if you just took a hit in your account and you're not prepared or there's nothing else to buy at the moment. It's okay to sit with some cash until the right thing comes along. So the point is, don't force yourself to buy things at improper buy points simply to raise your exposure for that sake alone. You always want to wait for the proper entry point, and you always want to monitor your individual stocks and act on what those charts are telling you. Just because the market looks fine doesn't mean your stocks are going to be okay. All the time I sell stocks because they need to be sold or trimmed back, and the market might be in a good condition at that point.